Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am to finish off these obscure 2000s Disney movie reviews. And to conclude, this is going to be a review for The Princess and the Frog. So, this is another one of those movies that like when it was first released, like I think for basically like the first year after this film's release, like it was like popular like during its first year. Like I do remember like it getting talked about like quite a lot. Like after like the first year that it came out. Yeah, but but like right after like this film's first year, that's really like just when like I just like stopped hearing people really talking about the movie. So yeah, so it's another one of those cases where like its first year it was popular, but after that like the popularity just like disappeared and just like people really stopped talking about the movie. So yeah, so it's another one of those cases. So I'm not really too sure like why like just people will like really just like talking about this movie like so much like in its first year, but then like all of a sudden they just stopped. Like I really don't understand like why that happened. Yeah, but yeah, this was like overall it was a pretty good movie. Yeah, yeah. I really had never like actually seen this movie before, or like prior to when I just watched it to make this review. So going into it, I really wasn't really too sure like what this film really was going to be about. I was really just thinking like this film really was just going to be like kind of just a one of those like frog prince stories where just like it's a prince turned into a frog and the princess like just like tries to help him, and then yeah, then like they kiss and the prince turns back to normal, and yeah, pretty much just like that kind of story. But that's not really the story that this film really did have. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So of course, like this film was like pretty another like hand drawn animated film. Yeah, yeah. Like I was talking about before, like after Home on the Range, like that was when like just because of like how bad that film ended up being, like that's really just like when Disney really seemed to just like really just like shut down their hand drawn animated department for a while, because like as I've said, like after that that was when like they like started to get into like the CG animated department with like the films I've already talked about with like yeah, there was of course Chicken Little, there was The Wild, there was Meet the Robinsons, there was Bolt. So yeah, so that's when like Disney really did start to get like more into the CG animated department and really just like seemed to like just like phase out of hand drawn animation. Like they did like have like like there was still like hand drawn animation done in Disney films. Like there was of course that film Enchanted, which was like a mix between animation and live action. Yeah, yeah, so Disney was still like doing like hand drawn animation at the time, but yeah, they really didn't have like a full on like a hand drawn animated film for quite a while. Like it was basically since Home on the Range that they did that. So yeah, so Disney kind of like just like was like really phasing out of the hand drawn animated department. But yeah, this is when they did like bring it back, and they did make like a full on hand drawn animated film. And yeah, it turned out pretty good. I mean, yeah, this film really does seem like kind of like remnants of like films from the Disney Renaissance, because it just like has like a lot of the well, it does have like several elements that really do like make it seem like one of the films from the Disney Renaissance, because like of course it's hand drawn animation. You do have like of course there is like the like but by the title it is like of course with a princess, which it's not, that's not of course like not only from like the Disney Renaissance, but yeah, there were like a lot of Disney films from the Disney Renaissance that like do have like Disney princesses in them. Yeah, and plus you also even like have like return of like it being a musical. Like there are like songs in this film, and it's not like films like Tarzan or Brother Bear, stuff like that, where you just have like an artist like just like singing songs for the movie. Yeah, here like the songs are actually um like songs are actually written and composed, and they are sung by characters in the movie. So yeah, so this film really does seem like very reminiscent of like the Disney Renaissance and just like old school Disney in general. So yeah, so I really do like this film for that. I really do like how it is like very a remnants of like old school Disney films like that. Yeah, and plus also, oh, like I gotta say right now, I do stand corrected on something that I said in a previous review. If you saw my review for Treasure Planet, I did say like how that film was by a John Musker and Ron Clement, and I did say like in that film that was the last Disney project they worked on. Well, I stand corrected on that because yeah, John Musker and Ron Clement returned to uh make this film too. So I was wrong with what I said before. Yeah, this is like they did return to do this film. Um, so I guess that is like another remnant of the Disney Renaissance because, like I said before, John Musker and Ron Clemens they did films like The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and Hercules. So yeah, so they did like return to do this film as well. Yeah, and this was definitely like a much better film than Treasure Planet. So yeah, so this really did feel like just like the films that we have become accustomed to from John Musker and Ron Clements. Yeah, and plus also in this movie, like the songs are by Randy Newman, and yeah, of course, like Randy Newman like has done like he has composed like quite a few Disney movies, such as like the Toy Story movies. Yeah, he did like the Toy Story movies, Monsters Incorporated, uh, Cars, there's James and the Giant Peach, A Bug's Life. So yeah, so Randy Newman has really like composed like quite a few Disney movies, especially like from like films that were like from the '90s and such. So yeah, that's another remnant of like Disney Renaissance that like Randy Newman actually did the songs for the movie. Yeah, and the songs overall like they are I guess good. I mean, yeah, there are like two songs in the movie that are really good. Like of course there is like the song by the villain in the movie, Doctor Phyllis. Sir, is that how it's said? That Doctor Fussilier. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, but yeah, there's of course like his song "Friends on the Other Side," which is a really really good song. I remember like Nostalgia Critic even placed that as the well in his top 11 villain songs list. So yeah, so he really does like hold that song in a pretty good regard. And plus, yeah, he even said like how he feels that like uh Doctor Facilier is really considered he really does like consider him like one of the best anime Disney villains. He even like did say like if like this movie would have been out at the time he made his top 11 anime Disney villains list that he would have put Dr. Facilier on there. So yeah, so he is like a really good villain. But yeah, and there's also the song "Almost There," which is a really good song as well. Yeah, yeah, and the other songs are just fine, I guess. I mean, but yeah, those two songs are like really like the songs that are like really really good in this movie. Yeah, so overall, just it is overall a pretty good movie. I mean, yeah, the characters overall are really good. It does have like two really good songs, and as I said, it just really does like give you like some real remnants of like the Disney Renaissance and just old school Disney in general. Yeah, so like I said, like the story is like overall like different than like the usual like Frog Prince story. What this one was really about is just like how there is like a there's a woman that really like doesn't really believe in like kissing frogs, and then like after one of a well after like someone else is like transformed into a frog, then and, like after she sees it, like he thinks that like she's a princess and kissing her will turn him back into a human, but what it ends up really doing, since she's not a princess, is it ends up turning her into a frog as well. And so basically, like the two of them do just like end up working together to really just like try to find the witch doctor, or rather a voodoo queen, to to get back to human. So yeah, and that is like kind of like what the main story of the movie really is. Yeah, but yeah, the premise overall, like with the villain and stuff, it is kind of complicated. Like yeah, Nostalgia Critic really like talked about like how, in his December review how this movie really like it's like the villain's motivation, like just like his plans, it is like pretty complicated. Like there's just like so much stuff that does kind of like make it kind of like hard to really follow because it's just like very very complicated. So yeah, yeah. And plus, he's also said like how there There was also like some controversy, like kind of like surrounding this movie, but I'm not really going to talk about that. Like, if you want to like hear about like the apparent controversy that this movie did spawn, yeah, you can go watch his review, because yeah, he did talk about like how this film like kind of sparked a little bit of controversy over a certain subject. But yeah, like I said, I'm not really going to get into that. Like, go watch his review if you want to hear about that stuff. Yeah, yeah. And even then, and this film really like wasn't like the absolute like really really big hit Disney was really hoping for, because yeah, this really was like the last truly big hand drawn animated film that Disney really did make. Like, they did still like have like more after this. Like, of course there was like the 2011 Winnie the Pooh movie and a couple others like that, but this was real like the last like truly big hand drawn animated Disney movie. So yeah. Yeah, so overall, like it does get kind of complicated and such, but just what is good in this movie? It is just like really really good, and I really did enjoy it. And like I said, just it really does give you like that real remnants of old school Disney. So yeah, if you really do like her, like if you have like seen like Disney movies that were really coming out during this time, such as the ones that I really have already talked about in these reviews, and if you really do like just want to see something from this time that really is just like a makes you feel like you're watching like an old school Disney movie, whether it is like the Disney Renaissance or something like that, yeah, this is definitely a film that really will give you that feeling. So, so overall, it is a really good movie. So I would probably give this film probably around like a 3.5 stars out of 4. Like, if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely do recommend checking it out. Like, it is just like such a good movie. All right. So okay, so let me just talk about the premise of the movie now. All right. So the movie opens up in the year 1912 in New Orleans, and there's this girl, Tiana, along with her best friend Charlotte, that are listening to stories from Tiana's mother about like the Frog Prince, and Charlotte is really like a believer of true love, and she really just finds the story romantic, while Tiana, on the other hand, just like really doesn't believe in like kissing a frog, and just claiming that she'll never do it. And then it cuts to like 14 years later, in 1926, how the Tiana really like just really has a dream to just like open up her own restaurant, which was a dream that she shared with her father. But yeah, it's just like shows that her father is now dead, and he like supposedly died in the First World War. Yeah, and it's showing how Tiana is working like as a chef and a waitress in a local diner, but and she's also in working as a hotel maid. Yeah, yeah. And then after Prince Naveen of Maldiana like arrived in New Orleans to like make like help improve like his financial situation. Like, he really didn't improve at it, but after he was cut off by his parents, he then like had the intent to marry like a Southern belle, and it was shown that Charlotte was like was a thought as a perfect candidate for the marriage. So then, after a after Charlotte's father, Ellie Big Daddy LaBeouf, like was hosting a masquerade ball for in Naveen's honor, then Tiana was then hired to make beanettes, uh, beanettes. Is that how it's said? For the ball. Oh, that would like give her like money to actually buy an old school sugar mill to make into her restaurant. But then it showed how Naveen and his valet Lawrence ended up coming across a Doctor Facilier who was a witch doctor, and after he brought them into his emporium, it was also showing that how he also like has deals with voodoo spirits, which he also labeled as friends on the other side, like through his song that I had already mentioned. Yeah, it shows, and it also shows like how like there are like also shadows alive with him and all that other stuff. And so yeah, yeah, he like just like convinced the two of them that he could like really fulfill their dreams, but yeah, but when they agreed to it, like it wasn't like what they were expecting. Naveen ended up being transformed into a frog, and Lawrence was now made into like one of Facilier's henchmen and was given like a voodoo talisman, which actually gives him the ability to pose as a Naveen. Yeah, and then Facilier then like just had the intent to really just like have Lawrence marry Charlotte while he was posing as Naveen, and then he had the plans to kill Charlotte's father and split the fortune with Lawrence. Lawrence, yeah. And then then eventually like at the ball, Tiana like just then like discovered that she could lose the mill to a higher bidder, and then she then eventually ended up meeting Naveen as a frog. And of course, like at first she was freaked out, but then yeah, then like Naveen just like thought that Tiana was a real princess. That's because of what she was wearing, and then asked her to kiss him to break the spell. Oh, and then with in exchange for like the money that she needed, like Tiana then like agreed to it reluctantly. But because she wasn't an actual princess, when she did kiss him, she ended up turning into a frog herself. And but when she did, she also had the ability to talk to other animals. Yeah. And then and and eventually they ended up up in a Bayou, is that how it's pronounced? Yeah, where they eventually like came across like Lewis, who was a trumpet playing alligator that actually had dreams of like actually playing with humans in a band, but because of just like of his appearance, like he was unable to do so. Yeah, and they also eventually came across Ray, who was a Cajun firefly, and he had like the belief that the Evening Star was like another firefly named Evangeline, and he was in love with her. But yeah, but nobody like actually like had the heart to actually tell him the truth about the star. Yeah, yeah, and then like then like the four of them then just like after like Lewis and Ray met Tiana and Naveen, they then offered to lead them to Mama Odie, who was a voodoo queen who they believed could undo the curse. Yeah, and then then like over time, like it just showed how Tiana and Naveen then like started to have feelings for each other. Yeah, but then and like there was then like a bit where like there were these bumbling frog hunters that tried to capture Tiana and Naveen, but then they were able to escape from them after like hijinks ensued between the three of them. Yeah, them, yeah, and then they eventually he found Mama Odie, and then and then after they told her their predicament, she just told them that Naveen has to actually kiss a true princess in order to break the spell. Yeah, and meanwhile, also um like Facilier like made a deal with the voodoo spirits to that he to offer them the souls of the people of New Orleans in exchange the spirits would grant a Facilier or the services of the shadow demons that he sent out to capture Naveen. Yeah, and when uh Tiana and Naveen, along with Ray and Lewis, returned to New Orleans, they then like saw Charlotte in the Mardi Gras parade. But to show that like she would like be the princess, like she would be like labeled as a princess until midnight. Yeah. Yeah. And then then after like Naveen he was like just telling Ray that like while he was like confessing his love for Tiana and he would be willing to give up his dreams for her, but before he could actually fulfill that, the demons ended up capturing Naveen and brought him back to Facilier, and 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 then as Ray was trying to tell Tiana the truth about Naveen loving her, as Tiana went to like confess her love for Naveen, it showed that like there was who she thought was Naveen, but of course like this was Lauren still masquerading as him, and yeah, he was like attempting to marry Charlotte. Like, just Tiana like saw it and just thought that Naveen betrayed her, and just yeah, it was like this misunderstanding case again. Yeah, she ended up just fleeing. Yeah. But then yeah, then after Ray like saved uh, the real Naveen after like he was like being like locked away by Naveen and the demons, they eventually were able to steal the charm that disguised Lawrence, and like finally uh, uh, stopping his masquerade. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they then eventually then found Tiana and gave her the charm, explaining the deception. Yeah, and then and as he like tried to hold off the demon so she could escape, Ray ended up being mortally wounded by Facilier. Yeah, and then he then like tried to get Tiana to hand over the talisman by just trying to make her an offer or to fulfill her restaurant dream. But then yeah, then she then like realized that like being with Naveen is more important to her, and she even like knew what Facilier's true intentions were. So she ended up destroying the talisman, and then then just like the voodoo spirits, very angered, then just dragged Facilier and into the voodoo spirit world for the gifts he made to them, and then it just showed like his frightened expression placed on a tombstone, and then it showed also how Lawrence ended up being arrested as well. Yeah, yeah, and Navian also explained the situation to Charlotte as well, but and then yeah, he just like explained to her how he loves Tion, and they revealed their love for each other. But then yeah, then after Charlotte then attempted to kiss Navian to break the curse so they could be together. She was unable to do it in time because the clock struck midnight before she could kiss them. Yeah, yeah, and then it just then it just showed that they decided to just live their lives together as frogs. Yeah, yeah, and then then it just like showed them like holding a small little funeral for Ray, just like having his body float away on a leaf in the water, and then yeah, then after he did, like they were just showed like a new star appearing next to Evangeline. And then yeah, but then later on it then like showed how Mama Odie married Tiana and Naveen, and now that Tiana was now labeled as a princess, then after they kissed, they then were restored to their human form. Yeah, and then yeah, then later on it showed like them having a legitimate wedding at New Orleans, and then yeah, then it just showed how Tiana then was able to like open up her own restaurant, and it showed like them celebrating hating the opening of the restaurant. It showed like Lewis now playing in a band, and then yeah, then it just ended by showing like the stars in the sky with Ray and even Jolene together. Basically, that was what that was implying, and that's how the film ended. So yeah, so overall, like while the story is like kind of complex and the villain's motivation is like kind of really complicated, just yeah, it is like a very good movie. The premise overall, it is like very creative, and yeah, the characters are just like very interesting and good. The villain is really good. It has two really good songs. So yeah, so maybe this film really is not perfect. It does have its flaws, but like I said before, just what's good is really good, and just because it just really does give you that like a reminiscence of like old school Disney, that really just like makes the film I think that much better, really. So yeah, so it is like a very good film. So I don't really know like why like just after like getting talked about for like its first year, like people just like stopped talking about it. So I really don't know. But regardless, yeah, it is a very good movie. And if you haven't seen it before, check it out. Like I said, like if you have seen like the movies from this time and really just like want something that really does feel like something from like the Disney Renaissance or just like old school Disney in general, this is definitely a film you should check out. So yeah, so like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. So yeah, definitely a really good movie. All right. So yeah, so I guess that's all I really have to say about it. All right. So yeah, if you haven't seen it before, check it out. All right. So I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right. So this does it for my review of The Princess and the Frog. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review, and this also does it for these obscure 2000s Disney movie reviews. So I hope you guys did enjoy these reviews that I made this month. So yeah, so I'm not really sure like why this decade really just had like so many films from Disney that have just like been so obscure, and not a lot of people really do talk about a lot of the films that came out during this decade. I mean, what is it that just made them so obscure? I mean, was it just because like after like coming off the Disney Renaissance and the animated films, just the films really just didn't really just leave like a big impact, or just like people really didn't like think as fondly of the films as they do of the ones from the Disney Renaissance. So yeah, could that be a reason why a lot of the animated films that came out during this time have just become so obscure? And as far as the live action ones go, just I don't know. I guess like because like when the decade started, it was still like during like Disney's run of like pretty bad live action movies, and there were like ones that were released during this decade when it started. Right, so I guess like that's just why like the live action films really didn't, and really just like have like fallen into a lot of obscurity. Even like when they did like get out of that run of the bad live action movies, just the films still just after just like the very bad run, the live action films really just still like really didn't catch on very well. So yeah, so I'm really not sure like why there were like so many uh, uh, films from this decade that really just did fall into obscurity. Because yeah, I do. There have been bad ones like that were released during this decade. I mean, I even such as ones like Max Keeble's Big Move, The Country Bears, Home on the Range, yeah, those kinds of films. But at the same time, I mean, there have been ones that actually were really good, such as the ones I've talked about, such as films like The Rookie, Holes, Sky High, Bolt, and The Princess and the Frog. So yeah, so there are like good films during this time. So I really feel like those kinds of films really do deserve a lot more recognition now. I mean, yeah, like I said, a lot of them really like they did like kind of like get like were popular at first among when they were released, but yeah, then their popularity just all of a sudden just like faded out, and they just stopped getting talked about. So I'm really not too sure why. Like a lot of these films really did fall into that predicament. Yeah, but regardless, yeah, there are a lot of like good films during this time. So yeah, so check out still some of these films if you haven't seen them before, because a lot of them are actually, well, not a lot of them, but there are like a good number of them that are pretty good movies. So yeah, yeah. All right, but anyways, all right. So this does it for these obscure 2000s Disney movie reviews. So I hope you guys did enjoy these series of reviews. And so yeah, so now stay tuned for more stuff coming from me. That's coming up. All right, but yeah. So thanks for watching these reviews, and I'll see you guys later.